Are watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Happy Halloween, you pigeons. Presented by Betano. It's the Tuesday edition of Leafs Morning Take, a.k.a. the Halloween edition, a.k.a. Rosie was late. That's why this show started late. What's going on, buddy?
This better not be put on me. I'm out on location again, pounding the pavement for this bloody show, and guys can't even wake up out of bed early. Producer Aaron. We should see.
We had technical issues, but they've been solved, and thanks to everybody who stuck along. That's why it's important to have alerts on here on YouTube. If you're in podcast form, you don't care. You're going to hear this whenever you hear this. But when you're on YouTube, firstly, subscribe at the Leafs Nation 401, and secondly, throw on those alerts, and you won't miss a show, right?
Yes, that is correct. That's what you got to do to get in the loop. It's first time in a year and change that we've had to delay our 11 a.m. Eastern start, so it's all good. I just wanted to see producer Aaron in his Santa Claus Halloween costume, just pinning it through Edmonton to get to the studio after his commercial.
You should have seen the looks I was getting, absolutely ripping through the streets. People being like, what? Did Santa just pass me? You're damn right he did.
Aaron, is this part one of a three-part conversation where you tell us you actually work at a mall part-time as a acting Santa Claus for Christmas?
Buddy, everybody needs change around the holidays, and you can wear this costume for months.
I wouldn't let you within 100 yards of children, Aaron.
This guy's sneaky. He just wants the hot girls on his lap. I get it. What do you want for Christmas tonight?
See, Nick Alberga gets it. And Nick, we might have your costume too.
We do. So, yeah, I've been disclosing this for a couple days. I wore this to a Halloween party over the weekend. So, without further ado, let's roll it out. I think the folks in Alberta will like it. So, there you have it. I was Bret Hart for Halloween, Rosie. Your thoughts?
Doesn't even look like you, man. Your face can change all the time, especially going back to your younger years. But that's a good costume, man. The full unitard. You got the shades going. And the long, strandy hair. I love it. Good costume. Good costume. You winner. I like it. I like it.
Wow. I get the vote of approval from Jay Rosehill. Yeah, it was a tough one to do because I've pretty much had a beard for like 12 years. So to go and be committed and go clean shaven, number one, first and foremost. But number two, for it to actually fit properly, I had the arm guards already. So like that fit in with the whole costume. I wish I had like the boots. But I think for something I put together like 2 days before, it actually turned out really, really well. And in fact, it was my first time I dressed up in like 10 years. The last time I dressed up, I was like a breathalyzer for a Halloween party, like when I was like 22, but I think it went pretty well.
Solid. No, it looks good. It's fun to do. Sometimes it's stressful trying to figure out a costume and going, what the hell, blah, blah. But then when you get a good one and you're in it and you're at the party, it's always super fun. So good for you for participating. Are
you dressing up tonight?
I am not. I might throw something together last minute, but I'm kind of like I'm kind of the safety guy for Halloween. I'm going to be with the kids cruising, keeping an eye on them. So I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I'll sort it out last minute.
You should be like the cable guy since you've had some issues with the internet lately.
Shut up. My internet's like as fast as it gets. My computer crashed once or twice when we pull up this StreamYard unit, but whatever. So on the internet, though, speaking of internet, do you see that Randy Johnson? I don't know who it was. And then his wife or his girlfriend's like a bloody bird from when Randy Johnson just clocked that bird pitching. It was a wicked costume.
Dude, I remember that day vividly when Randy Johnson, I think he killed a pigeon, right? Like, I remember like it was yesterday. Poor pigeon, number one, and like poor Randy Johnson, now this animal killer for life, right?
Do you know what the odds of like a bird that's free to fly anywhere in the stratosphere of air comes into the exact spot where the size of a baseball is when that baseball is coming towards the plate thrown by Randy Johnson and it hits it and it explodes? If you haven't seen that, you guys, I had to show people this who's never seen it. Have you not seen this? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I think it's happened more than once, which is got to be up in the trillions of percentages of probability of that happening. Unbelievable. I love that thing, and then it's a wicked costume to boot.
Dude, you want to talk about probability? Can you take a wild guess what Randy Johnson does now? Have you seen this?
No.
He's a professional sports photographer.
No way.
Dude, go Google this. This guy goes to sporting events like Super Bowls and flashes pictures. Like, dude, it's outrageous to me. He's Randy Johnson.
Yeah, that's weird. I get being into photography and stuff, but to do it in the sports, I guess it makes sense. It just seems weird for a guy that's like an absolute Hall of Famer to go be the guy on the sidelines snapping away and checking your checking your lighting and stuff like that. Oh, well, that's what he loves to do, obviously. Good for him.
Yeah, he's got a passion for that. We have a passion for a podcast. Many thanks to Donnie Does Dishes. It was a seagull, not a pigeon. I want to get the right family there.
It wasn't a seagull.
Travis coming from the top rope. Is Rosie going to post his Barbie costume?
I'd wear that if I could.
Dude, this is a budding rivalry, man. You and Travis, man, have to get after it, like a barn brawl or something.
Travis, I'd like to see this kid first. Hey, it wasn't a seagull. Do you know how big a fucking seagull is? Just hitting like a 2-pound bird. It was a little dove pigeon thinger. Who said that?
Apparently, like Donnie says it was a seagull.
Smarten up, Donnie. Do your research. A seagull. You know how big those are?
Hey, speaking of which, speaking of seagulls and pigeons, and I told you this via text over the weekend. So firstly, shout out to Patrick. Fuck you. So this Patrick guy who I met at a Halloween party on Friday, I guess he didn't realize. I guess people watch this show and listen to this podcast, but nevertheless, I'm at this random Halloween party. I'm talking to this couple, telling them what I do. I host a show, and he's like, "Wait," he's like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, Nick Alberga." And I guess he didn't recognize me because of like the facial hair being gone and all that. And obviously I was in character being the hitman. But he's like, "Did you do a show with Jay Rosehill?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I always thought you were a dweeb." And I'm like, "Now I see you in person." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 6'3". I'm 205 pounds. Say it to my face." But no, he was a great dude. It's so funny, the perception that people build up of you in social media. I could only wonder what people thought of you as a hockey player.
Dweeby, I guess you give off a dweeb vibe. But when I went and visited you last year in TO, I was very surprised that you were like my height or taller. I also thought little dweeby.
I know.
Dweeber.
I guess I'm like the keyboard warrior in Toronto, man. But I can back it up.
Yeah, it's just goes to show not everything is as it seems, folks. Especially with thinking that seagulls are getting. All right, it was a bald eagle that he hit. It was a dove. We Googled it. Producer Aaron Googled it. It was a dove.
Sir Baba Blas. It was a rhinoceros. Yes, but yeah, the dweeber got it right. I guess I got it wrong. It was a seagull.
No, it wasn't. It was a dove. It says right on Google. We looked at it. A seagull, like just a massive bird flying across the plate. It was a little dove.
This is now an episode of Our Planet. We're trying to figure out that the bird that Randy Johnson killed will probably be here all day at the Leafs Nation 401, where you could subscribe. Believe it or not, we have a hockey game to talk about. So brought to you by DoorDash. It's time for the appetizer. Thanks to DoorDash. You don't have to worry about cooking dinner or running to the store anymore. Let it all come to you. For a limited time, our listeners/viewers can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app. Enter code NATION25. That's NATION25, uppercase with that NATION25. Please note that the offer is currently only valid in Canada, subject to change. Terms apply. I can't believe I actually remembered that guy's name, by the way. I was gunned on Friday, beyond belief. Absolutely gunned. Picture Bret Hart. And you know why I was gunned, dude? It was like a way back, throwback, playback. They had beer pong at this party. And me and my buddy Daniel got hot, man. We were just pegging off teams left and right. We actually lost to Donald Trump. A guy dressed as Donald Trump, and I forget. His buddy was a sheriff, and he was Donald Trump. So we ended up losing after 5 or 6 games, but I was gunned.
Well, when you got out, did you just pull everyone aside and just kind of talk about your beer league, softball, and hockey stories and whatnot?
Yeah, exactly. I sat to the side. I'm like, hey, this is me. This is I am him.
I like it. No, Pong's good, man. It's a fun game to play, especially at a party like that where everyone's in costume. It's something to do.
It is. Tammy writes in, Rosie's next costume can be a seagull. I still think you should go with a cable guy. Nevertheless, injury updates, Rosie. This is big. Timothy Liljegren back at practice on Monday. He was banged up against Nashville. Really didn't get your thoughts on that game, by the way, but surprise, surprise, Ryan O'Reilly, 2 goals in that game. No Schenner. Preds find a way still. I thought Sammy was okay in that one. And then Jake McCabe's got a groin injury, as we know, back at practice midweek is the expectation here. So I think they dodged a bullet on the back end.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't think they can afford to be having guys drop like flies on the back end. It happens to some teams, some seasons, and it's devastating for even the best decors. So, if you're a little thin back there, that's no good. It's good to hear they're not big time injuries or anything. I was hoping McCabe wouldn't be a big deal. Didn't like the fact he was going for imaging, but obviously nothing's torn up or anything. Big tweak, little strain, whatever. Hopefully be back this week. But yeah, I was listening to that Nashville game on the radio stream in my vehicle while I was driving, and Yeah, Ryan O'Reilly, man. It's like what? Like I think the analogy. I think it was a Joe Bowen
Yeah.
broadcast, and they said people should just put the farm down on revenge narratives against the Maple Leafs. When people play for the Leafs and leave and play against them, they clean up, and it is like not even debatable anymore.
Dude, we're gonna ride the Luke Shen anytime goal. If he plays the next time when they visit Scotiabank, like that, I could only wonder where that pays out, like 1,500 to 1.
Yeah, it'd be pretty heavy for a stay-at-home defensive defenseman to snipe. So that's something you could do. Man, 2 goals for Ryan O'Reilly too. Frustrating, but yeah, I wanted to see Sammy get his footing. I wanted to see him get in there and stand on his head. He seemed to be all right. It was a stepping stone. He needs to keep putting those stepping stones together and get his confidence back. So looking for that this week. But we got a game tonight with Wolsey in between the Paves.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. I wanted to ask you first and foremost. You're in the heart of Alberta, of course. You're close to Calgary. I believe you're actually in Calgary right now. How quickly, if you're Brad Treliving, you calling up your old buddy Craig Conroy in Calgary? Because I don't know if you've looked. Hanifin's a UFA to be, Tanev's a UFA to be, Zadorov's a UFA to be. Can they pull off a trade where they get all 3 of them and just upgrade their blue line? Is that possible in this cap world?
No, it is not possible. It would be the biggest blockbuster of the year by a million, but
There's a
I don't
guy
know.
born in Calgary on the Leafs. I'm just saying that.
You look at Calgary, man, they are in absolute shambles. I mean, when they lost to Chuck and Goudreau, it was like, what the hell's going on? The sky is falling. Somehow Treliving pulls off a way to salvage it somehow. And you get like a Huberdeau and Kadri and Mackenzie Weegar. Like people were excited saying, holy shit, he pulled this off.
Yeah.
And it's just lo and behold, Huberdeau is just an absolute pile of garbage, like a historic fall in production. Kadri hasn't done a bloody thing. He's got more in the tank for sure. And, Markstrom, their goalie, who just like a year and change ago was looking like, they were Stanley Cup contenders, and he can't stop a bloody thing. It's terrible in Calgary right now. And I think that what are you going to do? Like, I was listening to some Barn Burner with Under the Nation Network here. And I mean, even if you try to get rid of Huberdeau, I don't even think anyone would take him if you retain half his salary.
No.
It's like, it's a bad spot to be. And if you can dump some guys, do you start rebuilding and look at that like 6+ year process to try to have a team that's half decent by the time they get in their new building? It's a nightmare. I am glad. I like you say, I'm right in the thick of it between Oilers fans and Flames fans, and they're all in shambles. Like look at the league standings. They're bottom dwellers, man. And I know it's early, but they're supposed to be, especially Edmonton producers this year. It's an ugly, ugly time in Central Alberta.
You know who's taking some of the shrapnel right now in Calgary? Weirdly enough, is Brad Treliving, the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like people are spinning around saying, "Hey, are you concerned? Are you worried? Do you know that your GM screwed up the Calgary Flames?" I mean, to an extent, they're right, but he inherited some superstar players in the Maple Leafs. What are your thoughts?
They're not right. It's he did like I said, you can only put names on paper. And when he left, he was looking like phenomenal job. You did everything you could. How often do you have your stars just pack up and say, sayonara, I don't want to be here, and leave you with absolutely nothing? He makes something out of nothing, puts bodies and names and past production on paper. There you go. Then he goes to Toronto. Those guys shit their pants, are terrible. It's got nothing to do with him. And then they're like, what does this mean for the Maple Leafs? Treliving, these guys in Calgary are shitting their pants. This must mean Toronto's terrible too. How do you come to that conclusion? So dumb. So typical Toronto. Let's twist this and mold this into something so we can be negative about the Toronto Maple Leafs by going down this road with a different team and their historic loss of production, blah, 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 and turn this into a negative for the Maple Leafs. So dumb.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, facts are facts. The Calgary Flames do stink, and the body of work was done by Brad Treliving again. But he inherited some superstar players on this Maple Leafs team. There's, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like that roster looked pretty damn good. In fact, I have an infamous tweet when they made that trade with the Florida Panthers. I said this could go down as one of the more downright fleecings in NHL history, something like that, in favor of Calgary. And look what's happened, right? Matthew Tkachuk goes to a Stanley Cup final in year one. These new guys in Calgary have done nothing. I think they were sort of forced because they lost Tkachuk, because they lost Goudreau. They had to hand over the money to Weegar and Huberdeau. Like they were in a tough spot. Like very seldom does that happen where not one but two superstar players don't want to be there anymore, right?
Yeah, very seldomly it happens, and it definitely happened there. And what are you gonna like? guys are like, oh, well, Tree Living, brought in, Domi and Bertuzzi and this guy, and they're not producing. And it's like a handful of games in. And what do you want them to do? Nothing. They were like, think about being just people never put themselves in the position of the GM. You're sitting there. It's free agency. You're working the phones. You're trying to do anything you can to get the thing done. You can get your hands on Bertuzzi. You can get your hands on Domi. You can get your hands on Klingberg. Okay, say the news comes out that he had the option to do that for X, the exact scenario that did happen, and he said, no, I'd just rather do nothing. People would be lighting the city on fire saying, it's proven that this group doesn't get done. You need to make the changes. These guys are good. Are you kidding me? You don't want Bertuzzi. What is wrong with you? Blah, blah, going nuts. It's a lose-lose, and I can't stand it where people just, doesn't matter what happened, they'll turn it into a negative and say, oh, that was his fault. It's terrible. It's like, the guy did everything he could. He did everything he could in Calgary with the shit sandwich he was delivered, and he's done everything here with, taking the reins, going through free agency, picking up the best guys available that you can possibly make under the cap. It's not magic. People just think, oh, well, he should have got, this Hall of Famer and this All-Star. Like, what are you talking about? It wasn't available. It's not physically possible to put them on the roster. So
yeah,
you gotta think in terms like that. Like, what were the options, and did you make the best chance with the options that you had in front of you? And I think so far Tree Living did and has, and it hasn't proven to gone either way yet. We're 7 games into the year.
Yeah, that was my problem to begin with, is like, yeah, there's all these naysayers, but then when Calgary makes that deal, they're like, holy shit, like, what's Bill Zito in Florida thinking? How could they make that trade? They got Huberdeau, they got Weegar. I mean, they got prospects, they got picks. Everybody was in favor of Calgary. Now it goes the other way. It's like, oh, this guy's the worst GM in the world. It just doesn't work that way.
If you hold your opinion until you get the ability to look back with hindsight and say, oh, what an idiot. You're such a dummy. And you know what? The same people are probably the ones celebrating it when the deal gets pulled. And then oh my God, wow, he saved it. Wow, he saved the franchise. And then it doesn't work out. And Huberdeau's an absolute bum. And those guys don't do anything in Calgary. And Sutter's so mean. He needs to go. That's why we can't perform. Okay, you're fired, Sutter. Just won the fucking Jack Adams. No, wow, we still can't perform with a coach that strokes us. Like, and then the same guys that were just applauding Tree Living in Calgary are going, oh, wow, I told you, what an idiot. He wrecked that franchise. What an idiot. Like, God damn it. That's so Bush League to just ride the side of whatever you feel. As long as it's a negative and a naysayer against somebody, it's bullshit when you have the luxury of hindsight. So dumb. I was pumped about Calgary when they made that deal. Now that it's not working, I do not even look at Tree Living for a second. It's the exact same deal it was the day he pulled it off. Same thing. How they're performing. What is he, a fucking genie? He should have known that Huberdeau was going to fall off this bad. I know it's a Leaf show. I'm getting fired up, but that's just such a dumb take to bag on Tree Living after he pulled off a miracle after being handed a shit sandwich. That's a dumb take.
What are the chances that Toronto and Calgary hook up on a deal this year? I think it's pretty high, man. Like, one of those 3 defensemen, I just have a feeling are going to be a Maple Leaf. Like, there's that relationship already there. Like, the 2 guys know each other. They work together. I mean, unless Calgary doesn't want to help Toronto out, but they're not even in the same conference. They're in the same country. I get that. But I think it's highly likely Toronto pulls one of these defensemen out of there if the Flames do go south and continue to tank here.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense on paper. I don't know what Tree Living's relationship is with Toronto after he left, or with Calgary after he left. I'm not sure if that's good terms or not.
Dude, everybody likes that guy. Everybody likes that guy.
You would think so. It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, they're absolutely tanking, dumpster fire. Are they going to try to get some draft picks and stuff and maybe start over? I don't know. But yeah, they've got some solid D-men that we could absolutely use on our roster. And there is that connection between Tree Living and the Calgary Flames. And with the position they're in right now, they might be sellers. So definitely keep your eye on that.
The following game preview is brought to you by the Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool, coming soon. It's a season-long NHL fantasy game sponsored by Wendy's. Everything will run through dailyfaceoff.com. You'll create a username and password, be able to play along just like that. It's a Monday to Saturday Survivor contest where users will be able to make their selection each day in advance accordingly, and prizes will only be eligible to those users who are resident in Canada, except the province of Quebec. Have you heard the latest in this market, Rosie?
I have not. What is the latest?
They're getting on Mitch Marner. He's not playing good enough. A fire is brewing. I'm all over Mitch Marner for points tonight, by the way. We'll get to that in the Betano wrap-up. But yeah, he's taking a bit of the heat. It's the market. There's nothing else to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, I know. It's never good enough. If every single player was playing,
I know,
up to their potential, this team would fucking torch, everyone. And if it's not, it's just, I know Marner was off to a little bit of points wise, he's not even off to a slow start. Goals, maybe, sure. But I mean, Austin Matthews stole the show the first few games. Fine. I don't know, man. I'm not too worried about it. Like, they're going to go, it's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be a time where we're like, where's Austin Matthews been? Marner's been carrying the team, and you'll forget all about, late October here. It's, I just don't get into that. I just don't get into that game. Like, not everyone's going to be on fire for 82 games straight. And when they're not, you're a moron if you're going, what the hell's going on with this guy? Like, he's not on fire right now. What do you want? He's still putting up points. He's not a complete bum. He's not a liability. He just doesn't have, the fire going. And there's not a player in the world who's on fire all the time, even Connor McDavid. And he's probably the closest one who could even think of doing it. But I mean, Mitch Marner's not going to be hot as a pistol for the entire season. And it's so dumb as a fan, if you even want to consider yourself a fan of the team, if you torch him as soon as he's like not on, fire, it's just dumb. Like you say, this is the market. Yeah. Do you want your team to win or not? Do you want to make it harder on him? Do you think Mitch Marner getting attacked all the time and having all this weight put on his shoulders and people exposing him and all the bullshit questions he's got to answer because why don't you have this many goals Austin does? Like, do you think that makes him play better? It doesn't. So chill the fuck out. It's October still, and he's got his point production is just fine. Wait till he catches fire, then you'll be just JOing all over yourself because he's so awesome. Like, it's just the ebbs and flows of this team and this market has got to chill out if you want them to have success.
What does JO mean? Don't answer that. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, it's pretty crazy that they're 5-2-1, and yet like they can be 8-0-0, and people be like, "Oh, why isn't Domi produced?" It's just the nature of the market, right?
It's not going to happen in the playoffs, man. 8-0 means nothing in October.
Yeah,
it's just never ending, man, and it's unfortunate. I don't consider those people fans who it's just like they feel high and mighty by just bashing whatever they can get their hands on. There's always something to bash, always in anything in the world, anything in hockey, any organization. There's something you could pick apart, especially if you're a pro at making mountains out of molehills and just blowing shit up just for the sake of doing it, just because it makes you feel big and high and mighty. But it's not helping your franchise. And if you consider yourself a fan, cut that out.
Way too many people in the chat saying Marner's got a wife now.
Blame the woman. No, that's not fair, man. I mean, I don't know if he didn't, or if he just broke up with his girlfriend, you'd say, oh, he's got no stability at home. He's out looking for women. He's a single guy now. He's more interested in being a bachelor. It's just fucking stupid, man. It's so stupid.
Yeah. I know. I'm right there with you. I mean, look at what happened to Travis Kelce over the weekend. His wife doesn't show up. Taylor Swift, he loses the game, shits the bed. It's just the importance of the ball and chain to be there. And I think about the importance of the start in tonight's game. So LA's in town. Cam Talbot, the likely starter. Joseph Woll, unsurprisingly, he's going to get the call here. But it's a dreaded first game back after the road trip. Like, can you just speak to that, how difficult that game is after a lengthy road trip, Rosie?
I don't think it should be difficult. No, it shouldn't. You're back home. You're sleeping in your own bed. You're getting your rest. You're back with your family. You get to go back to the comforts of your own building where everything's set up for you. You got all your stuff there. It shouldn't be a problem. You should be looking and saying, we just lost our last game. We're back at home. The road trip was all right. It wasn't phenomenal. It started off like it looked like it might be a little shaky. They pull off some wins, and it ended up being a pretty decent road trip. But the last game we played, we lost to a supposedly inferior team. You better be ready to rock. You're back at home. I don't get it. Like, why would you come out slow? Why would you come out shaky? Why would you come out tired? You're not on the road anymore. You slept in your own bed. You got all your creature comforts at your home barn. So they should be ready to rock.
Yeah, I'm with you. It seems to happen a lot in the NHL where a team will go on a lengthy road trip. They'll come back and it'll be a bit of a clunker the first game. But of note, LA, it's their first of 4 on the road. And just weirdly enough, it seems like every time Toronto and Los Angeles get together, 3 of the past 4 meetings have been blowouts. They've split them. And it's always an intriguing matchup. I think Tyler Bertuzzi's been a really good story. He was my player to watch with Cover Bridge yesterday this week. I think he's really finding his groove a bit now with Tavares and Nylander. What have you seen so far?
Weird. Like, the sky was falling a week and a half ago. Like, let these guys get used to their surroundings. Let them get used to the players. Let them get used to the systems that are in place. And don't freak out in October. Like, if they're doing great in October, the same people would be going, who cares about October? Tell me what happens in April. Like, just Jesus, man. Be a fan, support the team, and support the players. If you were happy when Bertuzzi scored, then support Bertuzzi and hope that he gets his feet under him and finds it, which he probably will because he's a pretty damn good player. Like, support the guy. And yes, he's finding his groove. He's getting used to playing with these guys. He's getting used to the systems. He's getting used to being in Toronto. He's getting comfortable. It's feeling like home. He's going to start cooking. And then he'll probably have a point in time where he's not doing it. And then everyone will jump all over him, I'm sure. Let the guy do his thing. Let the season progress. Support him. Look for the positives. And, like you say, the naysayers said he wasn't good enough, and now he's starting to find his groove. So just let the guys do their things. Let them be professionals. Yes, everyone wants perfection. Yes, everyone's striving for it, but you're never going to get it out of anybody.
I'm letting you cook. I was just going to grab a bag of potato chips and you continue on with your rants. You've had about 5 or 6 of them today.
I'm annoyed today for some reason. I don't know why. I think Twitter is like Marchand or something got me fired up, chirping Tree Living, saying, well, the Calgary's problems are now indicative of of Toronto somehow connection because it's the same guy. I'm just like, how are you putting that together, man? Fucking, it's got nothing to do with Tree Living now. He did the best. He did a phenomenal job. Figuring out that disaster that was Calgary. Then they don't perform, and it's like, well, that's his fault they don't perform. No, it is not. He got the best possible deal he possibly could have with that shit sandwich, and now somehow that's related to the Toronto Maple Leafs in typical Toronto form. I just don't like that, and it fires me up tonight, I guess.
Yeah, you're agitated. I did see that on social media before, again, we started in delayed fashion on this show, but I was reading up, and I don't know what the algorithm does, but it shows some of your tweets for some reason on my timeline. Nevertheless, I see you a bit fired up, and rightfully so. It has been the topics the last couple of days here in this market since Calgary lost in the Heritage Classic against Edmonton. Well, who was the architect of this whole thing? It was Brad Tree Living, then the whole Marner conversation. It just seems like it's a quiet time. I can only wonder what's in store in a couple of weeks' time. I think Toronto plays 2 games in 11 days, what we're going to talk about. There's going to be no shortage of conversation. Maybe somebody will do something stupid in Sweden or something.
Cool. I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
Fuck, I wish I got to do that, man. What a sick trip they get to go do. Sweden, of all places. Beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful stuff going on over there. Every fucking Swede I play with is just the nicest dude ever. Solid as a rock. Man, they're good people over there. I want to visit. I'm sad I've never been there.
I've been to Scandinavia quite a bit, actually. I've been to Sweden twice. I've done all those countries, Finland, Estonia.
Softball tournament or what?
No softball, just leisure.
Leisure activity.
No, I was finding myself, Rosie. No, I wasn't. I just went over to Europe. I'm like, let's have a sick time.
You're a single man. How did you find the Scandinavian countries?
Oh, yeah. It's, people often ask me, because I've been to 29 countries now, what are some of the top countries on your list? And without question, Sweden's a top 3, dude. Just dynamite place. Great atmosphere. Specifically, if you go in the summer, by the way, they have I think it's 20 hours of sunlight out of the 24. So it'll be 3 a.m. and the sun will be rising. You'll be going to the bar at 11 o'clock and the sun will be going down. It's perfect.
That's wicked. And even the women are packing snoozers top shelf.
Well, I was going to say that, back in my chewing days, I've been tobacco free now for 5 years. I was in Sweden and obviously I had to buy some snooze, and you go to the bar and it's instead of smoking, even the Rockets are just, top shelf, just packed.
Packing upper deckers with the snoozy or working the mud in their
dude, it's the Erik Karlsson special. If you ever look at Erik Karlsson, I don't know if it's still the same, but EK in his prime, he just always had a dip in. He probably slept with a dip in.
Dude, there's I remember playing with Freddie Sjustrom. He had this we had this end of the year dinner, and I was sitting across the table from him and his wife, lovely woman, and she finishes dinner, she's telling a story, and just by pure habit, she's telling the story and just cracks this tin and just guns one upstairs. I was just like, that's kind of hot. But it's neat they do that. Culturally, they're a wicked place.
Well, it's the alternative to smoking, right? You don't stink like darts, right?
Yeah.
And then they all do it. And then the cool thing about Sweden, they had the pouches. They're called portions. That's what I would do. So you don't have to work it. You just put it in, throw it out. It's like a tea bag.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The snooze. Usually the snoozies are almost always got the pouch, and then I think the mud is the muddy dark shit. I don't know. It's crazy over there, but they sure like it.
Oh, it's an unbelievable place. And somebody asked if they're down to earth. That's what makes, I think, Scandinavia Scandinavia is like not only are they knockouts, the men and women, but they're really, really approachable, which for somebody who lives in Toronto, you see a Rocket, you walk up to a Rocket, they ain't talking to you, regardless of who you are, right? Especially me. Maybe it's just me, Rosie, but like you're bound to get attitude in this country, in this city.
Are
I'll
ya? A
say
little
that.
I'm out of the game, man. I don't know
Mm.
how it is anymore. It's a different world, I'm sure about it, but I do know that I have not played with a bad sweet guy.
They're studs.
Oh, they're unreal. They're all kind. They're all nice. They're all easygoing. They all have good personalities, senses of humor. They'll help you at the drop of a dime, down for whatever. Their families
Yep.
are the same way. They're just nice people. And the Leafers are going over there to spread hockey awareness, NHL activity in Europe. That's pretty good. That'll be fun.
Imagine Nylander walking around Stockholm, like, and I don't even know if it might be in Gothenburg that they're playing, but nevertheless, like they'll probably be in Stockholm at some point in time. But imagine Nylander, the connects he has over there, right?
I'd just be attached to his hip the whole
Oh
time,
yeah,
just boing boing boing, just attached to the hip, riding his coattails all over Sweden. He's probably one of the gods over there at this point in time.
you had the connects on the Leafs when you were playing here.
Dion was pretty good at it for
Yeah.
sure. Depends what city. I mean, we go to Montreal and JS Jiggy set us
You?
up big time for a little twirl one night. It was wicked. I was just like, "Hey man, thanks for the night." He's like, "Enjoy, Rosie." He's an absolute beauty too. Lots of good guys that are connected, especially when you go to A, their hometown, or B, place they played for a long time. Good stuff. Hal Gill, I traveled with him a lot too. 18 years in the show. He knew every nook and cranny of every city that we went to. And either of us weren't playing a whole lot that season. It wasn't with the Leafs, it was with the Flyers. But we sniffed out a few places to hang our hats around North America that year for sure.
Yeah, Skillsy's still doing it. He guested on the show last year, of course, covers the Nashville Predators. He does something called bag chucking, where he shows up to a new venue, a new place, throws his bag in the room, and off to the bar he goes. Like that. That's some veteran shit there.
That's literally what he does. He's like, "Rosie, this is old school. We get to the hotel. We don't even step in it. We just chuck our bag in there, walk back down. Then we start off with some beers, and we go for some dinner, have some wine, let the boys go home, and we go out." And I'm like, "Okay, man, you're the boss." It was a good year of experiences. We can say that.
I'm taking some of your shrapnel now. Your boy Travis Houston. I bet Alberga rocks a tinted visor in his men's league, just peacocking out there for sure. No, I actually chirp those pigeons who wear like the tinted visies. I'm not a great hockey player, okay? I don't act like I'm a great hockey player. I have great hands. I have no jets. I got 2 more tucks over the weekend, by the way. That's 3 straight games, 2-goal games. I can't get the hattie. But nevertheless, I was a baseball player. I was never a great hockey player. I love beer league. I played rec hockey, minor hockey with my buddies, but I was never a stud player. So I'd never say I was one, but I don't even wear a visor because I used to wear glasses for the majority of my life. I got laser eye. I'm like, I don't want to ruin these eyes. Number one. Number two, I paid a hefty price to get these brand new eyes. So why waste them, right?
So you do wear a visor? You don't?
I wear a birdcage.
Oh. I thought you went no vise, man. I was like,
No.
60s.
No, so the rules,
dude.
like the rules are evolving like big time. Like there was a point in time where you didn't have to wear a cage or a visor. Now, because of the protocol and all that, taking a stick in the eye, you have to wear at least a visor. But I never got to that level because, again, I wore cage the majority of my life because I wore glasses. And now that I got my laser eye like a decade ago, what happens if a stick goes in my eye? I'm screwed, you know?
Yeah, that's what happens for sure. I can just picture you out there before when you had your full cage on and your
Oh,
glasses.
I look like a bird, man.
Someone bumped you. My spectacles. You guys, stop. Someone blow the whistle. You guys.
I think Travis is going to get on me hard that I rock a bird cage, but my safety is more important, especially playing beer league, especially the level of beer league I play, dude. There's so many ankle burners and just people chopping onions out there. I don't trust anybody, man. I don't.
No, it's true, man. I mean, your eyes are nothing to screw with. I'm just joking around, but yeah, no visor is so old school and sick. And I don't mean no visor plus birdcage. I just mean no visor. But I understand. I get it. Protect yourself. It's not dumb. It's smart. Just not as cool.
It's not as cool at all. Travis chirped me. Alberga playing in the under 18 out there with a birdcage. Yeah, I didn't play good hockey.
At least Travis is focusing on you now. I don't know why he's tripping me. We need a little info on this guy. If he's we're out here, we're exposed. He's got nothing but his name. We got to know a little bit more about this guy.
No, I respect it because the guy comes into a YouTube chat with his full name. I mean, we can find him. We can find him.
Something for our research team.
Yeah, so when we get together next time in Alberta, we'll probably end up drinking with Travis. He'll end up being a beauty. He's probably just chirping like he's a keyboard warrior. We love those here on the show at the Leafs Nation 401, where you could subscribe. Tough transition, but I wanted to get your opinion on it because we talked about it a bit yesterday with Carter Hutton. The Adam Johnson story is just horrifying, so tragic. I know the NHL and Bill Daly spoke earlier today on NHL Network Radio saying that the league is looking into making it mandatory to have something, a neck guard in place, something to help with whatever happened. I mean, what's your stance on all that?
Well, first of all, it's just unbelievably sad and tragic that, lots of times like Clint Malarchuk and different like things happen. It's like, man, that was so close. And, dodged a bullet there. And like, usually, you kind of get away with it. And this was just one of those rare times where it's like, no, like the worst possible thing happened and he's gone and a player died playing hockey. It's so sad. And you can't put enough, emphasis on that without question.
Yeah.
On the other side, like, would a neck guard have saved him? Well, it sure wouldn't have hurt, of course. You've also been playing in the NHL for over 100 years and it's never really been a problem. The one guy it's happened to. So it's like, you can chalk it up to statistically a freak occurrence. To have everyone neck guarded up out there is just like, oh man, I can't argue with the logic. A young man just lost his life. So there's no arguing with the logic behind it.
Yeah.
But do you go ahead and now because that happened once in 100 and some years, now everyone's got to go up like this and walking around in it? Can you not choose to wear one? It's tough, man. And it seems too soon to even be having that conversation, as the whole details of that are still coming out and it's still fresh in everyone's mind. It's just, when I heard, I was just like, no, like could have died or could possibly have died. It's like, no, he's no longer with us. To see that for the first time was like, what are you talking about, man? It's just a brutal thing and so fresh in everyone's mind. So not much more I can say about it right now.
Yeah, it really puts life into perspective. I mean, you go on the ice, I get they're pro athletes, but you go on the ice and you think you're just playing hockey, the game you've loved your whole life. And again, something like that tragically happens. And right away, I mean, you're looking for responses like, what can we do to prevent the next injury from happening? Like, I even remember growing up, a guy that all my buddies played hockey with died tragically. There was no defibrillator, right? And defibrillators started being a thing in arenas. The Kevlar socks were a thing a couple of years back. It might have been Taylor Hall or somebody got stepped on. So I think you're always in prevent mode. And I think the big thing here is to find a way that this doesn't happen again, right? But I'm with you. I mean, it's been a long time, but I think sometimes you have to adapt. And I think it's easy to forget, like, there's weapons on the ice. They're called skate blades, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's dangerous. And I mean, look, if you don't want anyone to get hurt or die, then you wear full cage, you wear full neck guards, you wear full everything, and you do not play hit hockey, and you get thrown in jail for assault if you fight. And no more vehicle racing, no more stock car racing, no more Formula One, no more Indy racing. It's too dangerous. Like, everything that's dangerous, if you want to negate any possibility of that stuff happening, which to a lot of people makes sense, then just take it all away. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
To negate any possibility of that happening again. And those things are absolutely tragic. When anyone dies doing any kind of sport, it is absolutely tragic. If you never want to see that again, then you just dial it all back so that it cannot possibly happen anymore. That's not what everyone wants to do, obviously. So you got to find the happy medium, got to find the ground where you're okay with it as an organization or as a sport. And no matter where that is, there's going to be people that disagree with it. There's some people who will never go skiing. That'll never swim in the ocean. That'll never do all these different things because it's like, wow, that's too risky for me. I'm not into it. It's a dangerous and I'm not doing it. Totally up to you. There's other people that are like super G downhill people flying into fences at 120 mile an hour, and many people have died skiing, but people still go skiing. More people have died skiing than fucking hockey or skate across the throat by a million. Does that mean you shouldn't wear a neck guard? No, I'm not saying that. Does that mean the whole league should all adopt neck guards? I'm also not saying that. It's a medium, and you got to figure out what makes sense to you. And the thing is, there's only a couple of people who are making the rules and the regulations. So whatever they do decide to do, there's going to be a ton of people bitching about it on whatever side is not happy. So you're never going to make everyone happy. But again, I'm glad that it is such a rare tragedy that something like that happens. And I'm glad that you can almost, on one hand, find in 100 years any situation like that, fortunately. But when it does happen, man, it makes you stop and reflect.
The last thing I want to say, and again, I'm sort of seeing it in the chat, like, come on. People blaming the person that committed the action, or if you want to say it that way or phrase it that way, like, you don't think that guy's life is ruined? I mean, that's what drives me nuts, is like everybody's playing the blame game. Like, this guy purposely did it. I haven't watched the video. I can't watch the video. I know some people have seen the video. I can't get to that level.
You can't comment then.
Pardon me?
You can't comment on whether if you haven't even seen it, how do you tell if what he, I mean, the reason I'm in Calgary is our hockeyfights.com podcast we're going to be recording today. It'll be out on Thursday. We're going to touch on it for sure. It is an interesting debate, and it is only more polarizing since a person's life is over because of it. And I don't think you can have an opinion if you haven't watched the video. Oh, you haven't even seen it. What are you talking about? How could you possibly know? And I can't believe. I mean, I'm a firefighter. I look at stuff every day. It doesn't bother me. But the amount of people who are very interested in that story who physically cannot watch the video, it's kind of shocking to me. It's like, oh, it's like blood. And it's just the fact that I guess a person lost their life and they don't want to see blood and stuff. I get it. But a lot of people can't even bring themselves to watch the video, which says a lot.
Yeah, again, the reason why I say it that way is because I think humanity takes over, or it's like, I think somebody can get to the level where they purposely try to cut somebody with the blade on their skate, right? That's all I'm saying. I haven't seen the video, but like, that's where my humanity takes over. I'm like, I don't think somebody would be that ridiculous, stupid. I don't know the word is.
There's no one can possibly know what was going on in that player's head, Petgrave.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
And I can say with confidence, not even being in his head, that he never meant to slice his jugular and kill the man. Let's put our friggin' brains on properly here.
Yeah.
The issue that I have definitely seen, and I have myself, is why and how did his leg come out? Like, if you're spinning around, and when I first heard of the situation before I saw the video, I thought someone would be getting spun and momentum would throw his blade up, and it was just the worst case scenario. It's kind of, his leg goes up against momentum almost to protect himself or to lift it up, like against the way he's traveling, against the way he's leaning, and the momentum to bring his leg up that high just it looks very odd. The video quality is poor. I have seen one that's crystal clear, and I thought that would be the majority, the one after the fact. I cannot find it now. Yeah. It's an odd situation, but let the investigation go. I want to hear the guy's thought process about how it happened and how that leg did come up, regardless of whatever it is. He did not mean to take this man's life. It's stupid. Maybe it was reckless or some weird reaction. I don't know, but it's just an odd thing. And the only thing that does matter is it boils down to a massive tragedy, and there's nothing we can do about it now, which is terrible, man. It's just hard to even imagine that actually happened.
Yep. I'm right there with you. Just to wrap here, 6 of the next 7 at home for the Maple Leafs. Any thoughts on that before they head off to Sweden?
Yeah, we got some home games coming up. Get good in your barn. Get comfortable in your barn. Get Samsonov going. Toronto, if you're listening, get some friggin' noise in that barn. You have the biggest market on the planet. Name another sport where the biggest market on the planet's fans are deathly quiet and their barn sucks for atmosphere-wise. Name one. Manchester United, fucking the late, like anybody, not a chance. It's Cowboys. Embarrassing to our sport, to our team, to our market, that barn is dead quiet, and you have the bloody Maple Leafs in town, and you're going to watch them play live in the Scotiabank Arena. Fucking embarrassing. Smarten up, Toronto. Get some razzle dazzle in that barn. It's only going to help your team.
Can only wonder what a goal song we're going to hear if the Leafs do score in this game. But yeah, I think it's a good time to create some separation in the standings, and we are going to talk about the month of November coming up. It's been very kind to the Maple Leafs, and again, a winning record in October. So in Alberga's rule of thumb, it's a win for the Maple Leafs in the first month of the season. We'll do a full review coming up tomorrow. Lastly, the Betano wrap-up is presented by Betano.ca. The game starts now. 19+. Please play responsibly. I mentioned it earlier on, but a player I'm identifying from the Leafs side is Mitch Marner. I like a Mitch Marner anytime assist. I think I saw it at -160. maybe a multi-point effort. I think the top line is what I'm looking at. I want to see them buzz a bit tonight.
Yeah, for sure. We want, ideally, we want all the guys to get their cookies. Want to see how Woolsey responds in Toronto. Again, my money's on him having a solid effort, man. I just think this guy's rock solid. That doesn't mean he's not going to have any hiccups along the way, but I just don't think this guy gets rattled easy, and he's not the typical mindset. I think he's elite. I'm going to call that right now.
Ooh.
Again, doesn't mean he's not going to have any hiccups. I just think this guy's solid minded player. Everyone I've talked to before he even got to put a Maple Leaf sweater on has said that about the guy, and he's only proved that exact thing so far. Looking at him, get back to playing solid at home. You did well on the road trip. October, you proved Nick Alberga wrong. Let's make November memorable here and get rolling, get the train
November to remember, as we love to say here on this show. That's Jay Rosehill. I'm Nick Alberga. Thanks to most of you in the chat. There's a couple of you that you suck. At the Leafs Nation 401, where you can subscribe on YouTube. Just search Leafs Morning Take as well. And thank you very much to Santa Claus, a.k.a. Aaron Bordato, producer extraordinaire, who made it for today's show. Always great to see you. And we'll talk tomorrow as we review the Leafs-Kings game and also get set for a massive tilt. The site of Rosehill Lucic 1, the TD Garden in Boston Thursday night. I can't wait for that one, Rosie.
I can't wait to hear Jack. What's his name? Jack Edwards.
You hear his call last night, by the way? So just to wrap, they played the Panthers, and the Panthers came from behind last year. He went on some crazy tangent in OT when they won it. Zaka won it, and he's like, they come from behind after a 2-goal deficit. Like, he tried to make it like the biggest one in the world. Dude, it's like game 8 of the season. Relax.
Well, he's pretty famous for that, man. He's all-time homer, but you know what? When he's on the local Nesson feed or whatever, I don't mind if you're a homer. You're only talking to the local fans, but he does it so badly it gets national attention. But hey, he's got a job for a reason, Jack Edwards, even though you're a bit of a duster sometimes.
We might have to play that fight in its entirety coming up over the next couple of days. Should mention as well, Rear Admiral of Spit and Chicklets is going to come up later on in the week on Friday, I believe. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll talk tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for watching Leafs Morning Take. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit theleafsnation.com.